Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here, FreeChinaPost 28. We talked about a lot of stuff on this one. First, initially we get into talking about Chinese trolls, which is something that we deal a lot with here on this podcast and our website. So definitely make sure to go check out all those fun discussions that we have with authoritarian shills from China. Not to say that all Chinese people are bad. Vast majority of them I love, and I hope that they all do well. But we do have some very angering arguments with them at times. You can check on, follow our social media, especially our Twitter. That's where a lot of them happen. Thanks for joining us. And this one we talk about that at the beginning, and then later we get into the 2020 hopefuls. Beto O'Rourke just announced, so we talk about him a little bit and how we think about his idea to run for candidacy. After that, we get into a myriad of the topics. The overarching idea of most of that is the college entrance scandal that just happened, basically with rich families cheating to get into school. And so we talk about a myriad of topics, mostly revolving around college, the cost of it, and also how to get in, especially revolving gender, race, things like that. So give it a listen. Let us know what you think. We really appreciate your guys' feedback. And this is an ongoing discussion that we're having. We're both growing and changing our beliefs on a lot of things. So, we would appreciate your feedback and listen and let us know what you think. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Free China Post 28. It's been a minute since we potted, Ari. It's been like a week, yeah?
I feel like it's been more than that, but I can't keep track of the time anymore.
It's probably,
honestly.
Yeah, actually it's probably been more than a week. It's probably been like almost 2 weeks, but since I posted, maybe a week, but yeah.
I don't even know, honestly.
Yeah, to, I guess, continue our conversation from right before we started potting, because I've like barely talked to you until, like, at least on the phone, like a voice conversation until now. For like,
I called you like
3-4
days ago, man.
Yeah, it's been multiple days. I'm used to talking to you every day, man. We used to live together. It's not the same. I don't like it, man.
That's not true at all, man.
I'm uncomfortable with this shit.
I mean, when we lived together, yeah, but when I moved here, we didn't talk every day.
We would talk most days pretty extensively. And, like, even, like, recently, you've been, like this week you've been so busy. Like, I was texting you last night and you're just like, yeah, I'm too tired. Like you're just like, I can't deal with this shit.
I just collapsed, man, and I got up early today and I'm just as fucking tired. Because, like, I've been waking up early and now I got to do this, like, I don't want to talk about personal stuff on here. But anyways, I've been busy.
Yeah, you've been having some stuff that you got to deal with, and, like, that's, it's in the grand scheme of things. It's not like, I mean, you're not like dealing with like a.
No, put it in context, okay? You're dealing with like apartment stuff and motorcycle stuff.
Yeah.
Not that big a deal, but like still.
It still sucks, man. It's not fun to deal with that shit.
Yeah. No, I'm tired.
Yeah, and as you should be. And I'm tired as well because, like we were talking about before, like, I'm dealing with trolls on Twitter, man.
Where's Abby?
She's, who knows? I don't know. I haven't talked to her since, like, last night, basically.
Oh, I haven't talked to her for nearly 24 hours.
I don't know. She doesn't stay involved in the chat, even though we have the group chat. She just posts things, like, randomly, and we'll just be like saying some silly stuff.
I feel like she follows the chat lately more than I do.
Maybe. I mean, she basically all she posted today was like, "Where's that castle in Nagoya? Because I want to post an Instagram story."
Abby, okay.
She like doesn't reply to any of the news stuff we post
because she doesn't understand it.
And she does understand some of it. Some of it, like, is.
I don't mean she won't. If she reads it, she won't understand. What I mean is, like, she doesn't follow the news close enough to, like, have any broader opinion or, like, link these issues to her life.
Yeah, that's fair. And she'll see us post stuff about, like, Hangoyu or something, and she'll be like, "Why are you so hard against Hangoyu?"
She can, get over it.
Yeah, amen. That's about right. And I'm trying to figure out if I should I'm still hung up on this dickhead that's been posted on this Twitter, man.
Dickhead.
Did you read all the posts he put on there?
Nah, I'll go through it though. But don't be hung up on dumb people.
I know, it's just frustrating because it's like,
I don't know where to find the feed.
I mean, I can link it to you, but it's just like it's on it's on like a post from Time, and like it says China's Xinjiang detention centers may be phased out, claims official, and like I basically posted something like, well, that's nice, like that's really cool. You might phase them out at some point, but like and like there's still no, like, you still haven't said anything about, like, there's still around 1.8 million people in concentration camps, and I was like, you also haven't mentioned about IP theft or the fact that you're doing illegal organ harvesting. And some guy literally just replies to me from China and just says, oh lol, Falun Gong is a cult. And I said, that's some cool obfuscation that you got there, but like, you know, like, you haven't said anything about like the actual issues that are brought up. And I was like, also, like, you better not let Shidada catch you on Twitter, because like you'll end up with your organs out too.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah, and he's just here's his reply. I'll read you his reply. He said, because I replied, okay, here, I'll read I'll just read the whole fucking tweet. You don't need to go look this up. Lol, he says, lol, Falun Gong is a cult. Falun Gong, for people who don't understand, is like, I don't know, can you describe Falun Gong as like basically like a meditation religion kind of thing in China? Yeah, and basically like the Chinese government decided that they weren't good for China, and they started putting these people in like basically black bagging them and then cutting their organs out and selling them on the black market, which is like a huge thing in China. So anyway, I said, lol, that's really nice. That's some nice obfuscation. It's good to know that you think people should be murdered and have their organs stolen for their beliefs. Also, you're breaking the law of your beloved country by being on Twitter. Don't let Shidada find out that you or your organs will be gone too. And then he said, lol, why are Taiwanese always so ignorant? Law is rigid, but the person is flexible. Why do you think Chinese people can't use Twitter? Be prohibited in China is not equal to the people can't actively use the app. Do you understand? And how about Cheater Li? Is him dead? Because I posted something about Li Mingze, who is a Taiwanese democratic activist earlier. And he like basically went to China and like talked about democracy, and he's been in jail for like 2 years now, just because he decided to talk about democracy in China, which tells you how like restrictive of a regime it is. So I said, not totally sure what you're saying, but you're doing a pretty good job showing Taiwanese people never to trust China. Also, seems like you don't care about human rights much or freedom of speech, so it's good to know. Keep up towing the party line. Your country is on the decline. And he said, I think your people seem to practice quote-unquote democracy just for quote-unquote democracy or quote-unquote political correctness. So I forgot the true purpose of democracy, and the ideological basis took over your minds, but you even don't seem to be aware of its existence. That veiled your eyes. So, like, I mean, I don't like to shit on people because of, like, their bad English or whatever, but, like, I didn't totally understand what he's saying. So
yeah,
I said,
that's not clear at all.
Yeah, I said the purpose of democracy isn't freedom and... I said the purpose of democracy is freedom and choice. That's why people like it, because we can affect change. And then he said, the reason why people like it is that it is human nature to, quote-unquote, do as one wishes. But, quote, do as one wishes, end quote, is absolutely right to be human beings themselves, question mark, let alone the compromise of interest each other. You people are too obsessed with quote-unquote democracy to distinguish some things. And there's other replies on here that aren't shown. But I said, so you prefer to be told what to do and have your freedom of thought / expression repressed? Personally, I like to be able to disagree with the government and change the elected officials if I feel they are doing a bad job. And then he said, that is very complex problem. If we want to understand it, it almost can writing a monograph. Please just remember that don't practice democracy for quote-unquote demo. We should know the true meaning. I know you perhaps don't approve of this. That's okay. You, me, everyone, all be in there. And then I said, I kind of understand what you're saying, but honestly, saying it's complex is obvious. That is why maybe you shouldn't blanket statement people in Taiwan. I just ask that you stop being a shill for the Chinese dictatorship. But I know that's impossible. You'd be in the same place as Li, meaning Li Mingze.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just like these bots are. I don't know if he's obviously
he
not.
doesn't sound like a bot. He's probably not Chinese either.
It says his location is in China. So like I looked at his profile and it says he's in China, but I just want people to know this is the stuff we deal with every day.
I mean, he could be like over like in Australia or something like that.
It's true, yeah. It's definitely possible that he's outside of China, but he seems to be arguing that like, yeah, it's okay if we get on Twitter in China. And I think, yeah, maybe the Chinese government doesn't care if you're being a shill. But that's the thing is, I think my point is 100% correct, not to toot my own horn, but like, if this dude was on Twitter, like basically on a VPN, like saying like, if he were to acknowledge me in any way, to be like, yeah, you're kind of right, you know? Yeah, maybe I wish we had more freedom in China. If CPP, like, people got a hold of that, like CCP people got a hold of that, he would be gone in a second. Like, he would be, like, maybe he wouldn't totally disappear, maybe he wouldn't have his organs ripped out, but he would be in a lot of trouble.
And he'd probably be in trouble with the fact that he's going on there and, like, tooting the horn of the government is really bizarre. I don't know what they would do, but it's hard to guess. In any case, it's definitely illegal there, and it's dumb, and there's no defending him. I mean,
no, absolutely not. But that's my thing is just like it's just baffling to see these. That's why I wonder about like what is it? What are these people like literally paid shills? Like I could believe that these people are like literally like government like people in the government that were like paid to just like go on Twitter. And maybe that's what it is, or maybe it's just that the government, they see that those sorts of things and they just, as long as you toe party line, they don't really care. But I don't know what it is. But it intrigues me a little bit because it's just like, I don't know. Are these people like, if it's a normal person, are they that brainwashed? Like, is someone that brainwashed that it's just like, that's what you're into? I don't know. It's a little baffling for me. I don't know.
Bizarre.
It's bizarre stuff. But anyway, that's the thing I've been dealing with today. Besides, I was watching right now they're interviewing, who's the guy they're interviewing right now? They're doing a House committee right now about, with Wilbur Ross about the census.
Oh.
And I was watching that before you called. But that's my new thing is on Twitter, if there's a House committee or something, I'll just watch it. I'll just watch the proceedings, and it's profoundly frustrating. But I don't know what kind of man. There's been so much news since we last talked. We were going to talk about the Cohen hearings. That seems like old news now.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Beto.
Oh yeah, Beta Mail. He announced.
He did.
Yeah, or there's a couple people, like there's an account on Twitter now that's instead of Beto O'Rourke, the @ is Bet on My Stork. So
what? I don't get it.
It's just a stupid name. Like it's the same thing as Cloud Boot Jar. There's a Cloud Boot Jar account for Klobuchar.
Oh, people on Twitter sometimes are so childish.
It's fun though, man, and the stuff that they tweet is actually usually substantive, but the names are silly. But it's I think most of that stuff is playing off like Trump and like, you know, low energy Jeb and like things like that. It's just these childish
low energy Jeb Bush.
It's fun.
Clean my toilets. He couldn't even get it up. I told him sleep with Melania. I don't care. He couldn't even get it up. He's so low energy, guys. The lowest.
He's the lowest energy. So what do you think about the powerhouse, man? Just unbelievable, like masculine man.
You mean
Beto O'Cook?
Beto Male. I don't fucking care, honestly. Like, yeah. He lost the Senate race. Why in the fuck would he win? He was not going to win the primary, and he's not going to win the presidency. He's shaming himself, and he's actually hurting his chances in like 2029, which is when he should run.
What he should have done is continued to push himself, because he made a lot of headway in Texas, and I would literally take him any day over Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is a fucking swamp monster.
Yeah, he made a little bit of progress in a state that basically the progress was pre-built in for him with how unpopular Trump is and demographic shifts taking place in large swaths of Texas. But the fact that he couldn't win over like moderate conservative or moderate and conservative white voters means that he's sure as hell not going to win back the Rust Belt.
He got a lot of votes in Texas. I don't know. I want to give him somewhat of credit, because like he did canvass pretty hard. He went over to like a lot of places in Texas. He got a pretty. He gave Ted Cruz a run for his money. Like
That's
he was
awesome.
making Ted Cruz sweat, which is something to say.
He was. Listen, for me to appreciate a candidate, I also have to agree with their views. And for me, their debate performance shows like how cogent their thinking is, how solid their policy ideas are, and what their vision is. And he really stunk.
I would say his speeches were better than his debate performance.
His debate performance was stinky.
It was stanky. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna totally disagree with you. And his like. The biggest thing for me is like I actually like debate. I enjoy, but debate is mostly like it depends on who's proctoring the debate, who's asking the questions. Like as we've seen in the most recent CNN town halls for Bernie and many other candidates, they're bringing in these people who they're calling a mother of three, who's actually works at like a DC think tank. Like it's all like it's all manufactured.
I know what you're saying, but a good candidate. A good politician with good ideas and good rhetoric can blast through all that shit.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Bernie Sanders can win. That's why.
That's right.
So I know what you're saying. I don't buy it. I think he needs to mature a lot, and he should stay in like lower chambers of the House for a while. He's not ready. He's not ready for the limelight. He's not the next Obama. I'm sorry.
I think it's mixed, but I generally agree with what you said. Yeah, I agree, and I think,
but I think not developed enough, man. Like,
well, okay, go ahead.
When I listen to Obama talk in any debate performance, man, he had a clear vision, he had clear policy ideas, and he was eloquent. Beto is none of those.
True, but what I would say is that like, knowing what Obama did, I would have much rather supported someone else than him. But giving the case of like, is him Hillary or like, you know, whoever else it was, like a Biden or not a Biden, sorry, like a Romney or something. Like, yeah, I would have taken Obama, but Obama was not like not a good candidate, which is again comes down to the policies. And Beto's policies are garbage, man. He's not progressive at all. He's not even as progressive as Obama, and Obama was not progressive almost at all.
Also, you have to keep in mind the time. Obama ran 10 years ago. Obama, if he ran today, wouldn't be the same candidate, probably.
I guess, but like that's the thing is you have to run, even if you're progressive. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It is complicated, but I would say you need to run more progressive than you're going to be able to legislate. I would say, because you need to put.
I think Obama did. I mean, at the time.
Maybe. I don't think so, though. I think pushing Obamacare, it was literally a right-wing position at the same time.
He didn't push for Obamacare until he was already in office, and he was trying to get a public, what they called the public option back then.
Yeah, exactly. So what he should have pushed was Medicare for all, and maybe he would have got something better than a public option. That was
the whole thing, man. He
didn't really push. He didn't push Medicare for all, though. He pushed a right wing Republican, it was literally a Romney plan.
I mean, you know, like the context of what happened when you say push. Like push to who? Push through Congress. First of all, the president doesn't push anything through Congress. The Senate Majority Leader pushes things through Congress. The Speaker of the House pushes things through Congress.
But you use what I would say is you use the bully pulpit to say this is what I want, and I'm the leader of the free world, and this is what I am the leader. I'm the de facto leader of this party, and this is what we should push for.
First of all,
he didn't. He supported supported quote unquote Obamacare.
After months, I mean, this, if you remember, man, this was going on for a long time. In 2008, 2009 or 10, I can't remember. This was a protracted process. This wasn't like he's like, we're going to do Medicare for all, and Republicans were no, and the next day he pushes this. This was going on. There was negotiations for weeks that dragged on into months, if I remember correctly. This was a slow process. Meanwhile, every day you had thousands of these old Tea Partiers dragged on by Sarah Palin, protesting death panels, scaring the shit out of every fucking Democratic representative in both chambers of Congress.
Which is why people shouldn't honor the legacy of John McCain, because he gave us Sarah Palin. So fuck all these people. I fucking hate all these people, man. They're all trash.
John McCain is not responsible for Sarah Palin.
He is responsible. Who is responsible for Sarah Palin?
Sarah Palin is responsible for her own fucking life, like her own choices. He definitely made a fucked up decision bringing her into the limelight, but he's not. He didn't adopt her as a child. I mean, he just made a terrible choice and destroyed his campaign.
He's responsible for making her mainstream, man. Like, if he wouldn't have put her in that national spotlight, then she would have never been as popular as she was, and she would have never been. Basically, just all these like mainstream, like old ass Republicans just wanted to have sex with her, and so they're just like, yeah, I like her ideas. And it's just like, if McCain, who basically is only famous because of his daddy, like, and his legacy, and the same thing with his daughter, like, they would have never like existed. But that speaks to, like, I'm getting a little bit off tangent, but like, I'm just upset with like the royalty of
thing
like,
is
these...
because he was a staple of the Senate. I mean, he was in the Senate. He's one of the longest serving people in the Senate.
Which is, again, speaks to the legacy thing, man. He's only popular because his papa was like a high ranking person in the military.
I mean, you're not wrong in that regard, but a lot of people. I mean, that's not to say that he didn't. That it discounts the time in the Senate. Most people don't last in the Senate. Like, they don't want to stay in there that long.
That's because you got money and you have that name recognition, though. If I had like millions of dollars behind my name and huge name recognition, then you're going to stick around.
I don't mean
it's
that
the same
he was
thing
winning
as
elections.
Hillary
Most
Clinton,
people
man.
Don't choose to stay. Why would? Listen, it takes a certain amount of sacrifice. He could have been doing all kinds of things. Okay, he was a rich guy. He could have been on the speaking circuit. He could have been on the board of like a foundation. And not to say that he didn't do some of those things in his part-time or whatever, but basically he committed most of his life to serving in the U.S. Senate, which I think in and of itself, regardless of party, I mean, that says something about a commitment to some form of public service, in my opinion.
I don't think that at all commits to public service. It commits to yourself to, I want to make my rich friends richer. I don't think a lot of the Republicans do it because they have some like sense of public duty. I don't think they're good people down deep. Maybe they think they are, but they're doing it to keep their rich friends rich. Like, if they really,
some of them, yeah, but some of them have a vision of politics that they're trying to promote, whether or not.
And I really strongly caution you and everyone else to go watch like these Senate hearings and these congressional hearings, like the ones on. There was just one that I watched the other day. Yesterday, I guess, on education, and also the one today that I watched that was regarding Wilbur Ross and the census. And all these Republicans, these high-ranking Republicans, the same thing with the Cohen hearings, man. They're just in there, and they're just obfuscating the
I know
whole
what you're
time.
saying, but the point of what you're saying is that because some are shit, they're all shit. But it's not a valid argument.
Of course, I'm going to paint with a little bit of a broad brush because I think the Republicans and their ideology is garbage. I think it's terrible. But a lot of them, literally, when I listen to them, they just sound so disingenuous. It's just like, man, you're. I don't know if you're lying or like one of the dumber people that I've ever seen in my life. But I've like met people on the street who are like average Republicans that I think are way smarter than you. So I don't know, but it's infuriating, man. I won't stomach it, and I won't defend those people at all because I think they're bad. They're either evil people or they're some of the dumbest people I've ever seen.
There are definitely evil people in there, but what I'm saying is, I think that somebody who chooses to, I'm not saying, listen, There are lots of Senate candidates, people who get elected, who are absolute shit. Completely fucking granted. What I'm saying is, if you spend your entire fucking life in Congress, it shows, to me, it shows some level of commitment to public service. I guess you're right. You're right to some extent. Not necessarily, but sometimes.
Well, what I would say to that is, like, I do get where you're coming from, but what I would say at the same time is the working in the House or in the Senate, that's a fucking cushy job, dude. These people work like sometimes half of the year. They get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. They get sometimes millions of dollars in legalized bribes. Like, that's an easy fucking job,
what do you mean,
dude.
legalized bribes?
Campaign contributions, man. That's all legalized bribes.
Yeah, the campaign contributions, as bad as they are, they can't, like, those things don't feed their families. They can't use those for personal gains. They're technically not enriching themselves. They're not raising their net worth.
You can use it to travel. You can use it to a lot of things.
Yeah,
man.
but you can't use it to put a down payment on a house. You can't use it to send your kids.
Yeah,
to
but
college.
okay, you're right. But you get over $100,000 salary. You get literally better healthcare than the average.
Those are
great
cool
healthcare.
things. But if you consider that half of the people in Senate are people from high-ranking law firms who formerly were probably making close to $600,000 or $700,000 a year with even better health insurance, then the opportunity cost shows that as cushy as it looks to you and I, making like $20 an hour,
yeah,
for people who are already millionaire, like high-end lawyers working at Manhattan firms, it's really like a step down. So not that they're like sacrificing anything. I agree with you, but what I'm saying is their opportunity cost for them is high, and that they are making some kind of sacrifice, because the second they leave the Senate, they can go become lobbyists and make 5 times the amount and get speaking fees and go serve on boards and all this kind of shit.
Well, when they're working in the Senate and stuff, I feel like a lot of them do get speaking fees. I mean, look at Hillary Clinton, who worked as Secretary of State and made hundreds of thousands of dollars per speech.
I feel like that was after she left.
It was after she was Secretary of State, but that's the thing, is intermittently you can get these things. Not to mention that
what I'm talking about is
when you're in the Senate, and when you're in the House, you can vote in your own interest.
What I'm talking about is people like Robert Byrd, like John McCain. These people who spent like 3, 4, 5 decades. Basically, they got there in their 50s, and basically they served until they died. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I think there are some people, and I don't know every personal story for these people, but it seems like for somebody who these are people who already have they already have it all. So they're not doing this for themselves. They already have the fame. They already have all the money they could ever need. They're doing this maybe for power, but maybe somewhere deep in their heart, it's for public service. I hope.
Yeah, I would argue, and maybe I'm more cynical than you, that it is for power and that it's for personal gain, and that these people are deep-seated narcissists that have a problem and want to enrich themselves, or
cynical.
at least just want to see their face on TV. They want to just anyway. But that's okay. I mean, we don't need to have this conversation anymore, because we're just gonna argue minute details of like, well, I think this candidate did this, whatever. But like, yeah, I think we generally agree. Like, okay. Anyway, what else has happened in the news recently? I don't want this to be a protracted like argument.
Well, you said we generally agree, but I would say I think we agree that in general they're probably not great people. But what I would argue is that there are exceptions. There are civic-minded people. Would you accept that, or
I think there are civic-minded people, but it would depend on who you think those people are. I don't think John McCain. I don't really. Okay, yeah, I would give you the fact that I think that I agree with you. There are people who erroneously
Bernie Sanders
think that they are doing this for. Okay, yeah. If you want to talk about in general, I think on the Republican side there are maybe a few. But I think it's very small, and I think that people should be very skeptical about people claiming just because they've been in Congress a long time that they're doing it for quote unquote.
I don't think he ever claimed that, as far as John McCain is concerned. But not only that, in John McCain's defense, he was aware that basically a lot of his privilege and a lot of his wealth came from his second wife. A lot of his privilege,
who he cheated on while his first wife was disabled.
His second wife.
Huh?
I'm saying his second wife.
Yeah, I know. He cheated on his first wife with his second wife.
Yeah. Well,
while she was disabled.
He cheated with her. He didn't cheat on her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is he did it in recognition that he was pretty blessed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk about John McCain anymore because I'm going to say really mean things with him, and people are going to get mad at me because he's dead. So if anyone who dies, you have to like be really nice to them. So I don't.
Well, okay. But
anyway, but yeah. So we agree that there are people who do it for genuinely good reasons. But I think I would probably say that number is smaller than you would say that number is. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I don't know. Maybe I would agree with you on number. I don't know, man. We're just
it's hard to say.
I don't have names,
and I feel like you're probably, I don't know.
I just don't like to speak in. I don't like to speak in
terms.
totality.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not speaking in totality, but I want people to understand, because I get frustrated when people are just like speak in totality in the other sense of just saying like these people are, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing. Man.
Congress is so unpopular.
Yeah. I mean, look at
I love
Congress.
Congress.
It ranges between the popularity of Congress ranges between like the highest is ranging on 20%. Like it's a joke. It's a joke because people know that like these people aren't in favor of what the normal people are in favor of, because they're so disconnected with people. And but that's I think again that's probably where we're in agreement, which leads to like another topic that has come up recently, which is the whole like college scandal. You've seen about like all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The college admittance scandals that's been going on.
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions about that.
Fire away, man. I want to hear your opinions on this.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people were bringing up is basically that why do we consider this like not okay, but you consider, listen, like we rank these private universities that basically they're still basically run off of money, and they still run off of endowments which are funded by high-end donors. So basically you donate a whole bunch of money and you just buy your way in. Like, I mean, sometimes it's a six-figure, but sometimes it's bigger. You know, and like, you
buy a building or something.
Yeah, you buy a building. Like, how is that not acceptable? Like, I don't understand. I mean, I'm sorry. How is that acceptable? But this isn't. I feel like it should all be unacceptable, or they should just stop pretending like people who get into Harvard are smarter. They're just rich. I mean,
100%.
It's. I mean, we all know it to be fairly true, but a lot of people like, in their heart of hearts kind of believe that like, oh, you went to Harvard, you must be really smart. But like, no, it means your parent went to Harvard, or your parents are extremely rich, or you like hit the jackpot on an admissions team. Like,
yep. It's the whole idea of that Americans have. It's the same thing with taxing the rich, especially on the right. It's this idea that maybe one day I'll be a millionaire too. Maybe I'll have this idea.
I feel like it's even worse because
it's similar,
all Americans want to be wealthy, but not all Americans share these dreams of going to Harvard. That's like a rare dream. I feel like.
I think it's connected though. I think that it's just
I agree with you, but I say it's even worse with education because we all pay attention to the rules that govern our wealth, but a lot of these rules that govern education policy are less important because not that many fucking people care about higher education policy.
I think it's just that the fact that people don't pay as much attention to it, because the idea of you getting into Harvard is already like ridiculous. But when you stop and think about it, it's just like the percentages of people that get into Harvard, it's like, so if you just apply based on merit, you get, it's like, I forget the exact statistics, but it's something like 6% of like people that apply get into Harvard, and it's something like 30% of people that apply on legacy get into Harvard.
Yeah.
So it's like
mostly legacy.
It's ridiculous, man. Like you can just get in because your dad was in there. Like, oh, my daddy came to Harvard. My daddy went to Princeton or Yale.
Yeah,
so
man.
like I get to get in there too. It's bullshit, man. And all that, the whole system of that was founded on keeping immigrants and people of color out of these schools. And so it's a racist fucking system, and we should fucking fight against it, and we should say there should be none of this. No money should go into it, and none of this fucking, oh, my daddy went there, my uncle went there. Fuck that. It's bullshit. No, money clearly does go into it because people are clearly paying to cheat and get into these schools.
Yeah, but like no public money. I mean, no public money goes into these schools. But maybe the schools should lose their tax-exempt status. Because with a lot of these schools, there's been a lot of claims over the years that because a lot of these schools play lots of financial games with their endowments, that essentially they're looking less and less like nonprofits and more like hedge funds with the school attached to them. And in that case, then they should lose their nonprofit status. And not only that, but they don't serve a public good when basically their main goal is to A, make money, and B, give very, very valuable pieces of paper to parents of to the children of rich parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to the greater population of America.
Yeah, exactly. And people are getting out of there with great these pieces, again, like you said, pieces of paper that they can make them millions of dollars. And not to mention that there are some of the literally the dumbest people going to these schools. Like Kushner went to Kushner went to Harvard. Like, he's a fucking idiot, and he got through there fine. He didn't have any problems. He graduated. Like, Trump Jr. went to Columbia, I think. It's just like the fact that these people can go to these quote unquote established schools that are just like these bastions of intelligence and like quote unquote left wing thinking and things like that. It's all a farce, man.
It is a farce.
Yeah, it's a joke. So that is obscene to me. All of that is absurd. So yeah, people the whole idea of like secondary education, I think, is important, but
tertiary education.
Yeah, tertiary. Oh, good word. Tertiary education.
Well, secondary education means high school.
Tertiary, yes, whatever. I don't care. I'm uneducated because I'm from Missouri, so I don't give a fuck. But yeah, education after high school is I think is important, but that's why it should be free, man. And that's when I watched the whole education debate that just went down.
Would you be in favor? Because some people say, for me, okay, I went to community college for my first couple of years because I'm like not super rich, I guess. So just like with using healthcare, some people say that there should be kind of a small fee for service just to keep it from being abused. Would you be in favor of that, like a community college price on state university? So like community colleges can become like what? Like when I went there, I was paying probably $1,100 a semester, which is like on a part-time job you can easily pay for that, which I did.
It would depend for me on a lot of factors.
Okay, like what?
In general, yeah, I would be in favor of that. But you gotta look at things like the minimum wage. So if we increase the minimum wage, if we went, and even I'm like not totally on $15 minimum wage. I would support it in general if that's the only thing we have. But a minimum wage tied to local economies and inflation, I think, is more important. But yeah, if we did something like that. And we said, yeah, if you said something like, you know, it's you tied to like, okay, it's 10% of your income, something like that, on a minimum wage basis. Then yeah, I'd be in favor of it. But it's complicated, like, but yeah. Okay. So yeah, if we said,
yeah, that sounds fair to me.
About 10% of your income on a minimum wage job, which pays. Even if you said $7.25, which I think is a starvation wage and shouldn't be paid in the U.S., but if we said $15 or whatever,
say $7.25 an hour is $14,000 a year, so 10% of that would be $1,400 a year. So I'd say $1,400 a year for state let's say like state university, and for community college, let's say half that.
I would accept that. But I would say because education is such a needed thing in the U.S. that we should make it free.
I feel like anybody who really has a desire to go to school does go to school. So I think by lowering the cost, it will reduce the student loan burden.
Yeah, I would say the graduation rates don't totally bear that out. A lot of people that try to go to school don't graduate or end up going six, sometimes 7 years. Like like I was trying to make a point of earlier is like I watched the debate on in the House committee about affordability. They didn't have even one person on there that was in favor of making college free or making it tuition free. They had people. They had one lady on there who was a single mom who was going to college, and it was just kind of a joke, man. Like I think it's like the argument about it is kind of a joke. Like it's a bunch of rich people arguing about how cheap college should be, and basically all the Republicans were just obfuscating, saying, "Well, I think it's cheap enough. Like we've done enough, and if we give some tax credits or something like that."
Well,
like,
first of all, this is really not even a federal issue. That's more of a state issue. Most of these universities do get some money from the federal government, but the money mostly comes in the form of like grants and stuff.
But why? I would say it should be both. It should be both. And if the federal government chipped in, I think it would be a much easier issue to deal with.
This is an issue that cycles a lot more around every state and their choice of governor, because the state legislatures set the budgets and usually control the boards that set the tuition for these universities. So if they gave them more money and ordered certain tuition levels, then they could easily put this under control. So this is state legislatures. This isn't a congressional issue in Congress's defense on this. I know what you're saying, but like that in and of itself is radical. Like university tuition had been low for a very long time, and it was low even up until like maybe 15, 20 years. When I was going to school, my state tuition wasn't cheap, but it wasn't unbearably expensive. Like I worked my way through school, like not that long ago. I graduated in 2011, and basically I basically was able to work my way through school without scholarships.
Yeah, I would say also there needs to be more education about school, man. Like I don't know. I came from like a pretty poor rural school district, but I was never informed about like the costs of college and like things like that.
Yeah.
And like or how to fill out FAFSA. Like I had to like my dad and I spent like a lot of time like filling out the FAFSA information to like get like grants and like and loans, both public and private.
Dumb, but I don't know.
It's stupid and it should be simplified. And I don't think. And
well,
again,
no, they shouldn't have the FAFSA at all. They should eliminate that shit, and they should make a flat, low tuition for all fucking students.
Yeah, I concur. I think. Well, I mean, again, I think there should be federal. Like, if you want to have some like federal, I think the loan should be federalized and things like that. I don't think there should be private loans anyway. But
if you make it low enough, there won't have to be fucking loans. Like
there inevitably will, because like there are people. Yeah, if you make it low enough.
Yeah,
but I think there will almost always be people that like need to take out loans.
Yeah, but I mean, if you make the tuition low enough and you say, and you provide like more subsidized dorms at these universities, then there's no reason. Like, well, one of the other things is they should further subsidize the dorms. Like, there's no reason why kids have to live in these ultra fucking expensive, ultra modern dorms. Like, the dorms here, like for instance, at this university in Taiwan, most students pay $400 a year for fucking dorms. Okay, there's no reason that like the same low quality housing can't be fucking stuck in the edge of a shitty college campus. Like, the dorms are already horrible enough. They don't need to charge like $8,000 a semester to live in a fucking shithole dorm. It's preposterous. Those need to be subsidized too. And if you make the dorms cheap and you make the tuition cheap, then what's the maximum cost? You could be looking at like $3,000 a year. Like, who the fuck needs to take a loan for that? And if you do, then go ahead. You know, the government can be out $3,000 a year subsidizing those loans.
Yeah, I would say that when I was in college, if I had to pay $3,000 a year, I probably wouldn't have been able to pay it.
Would not have been able to?
Would not have been able to pay it. So to give you context,
Yeah?
I went to school for 5 years. I worked a full-time job,
but
and
you
for
also
about
had an
2 of those
apartment.
years I worked 2 jobs, not full-time. I worked 1 full-time job, basically like 35 to 40 hours a week.
But you had an apartment. You had a car.
I had an apartment. I had a car. But
those
even
are your biggest expenses when you're that age, man.
it's true, but that's the thing is, like, in America, in a lot of places, you need to have both those things. And I was lucky because my parents helped me pay for my insurance. So it wasn't like I was just like, I wasn't even paying for everything.
But
I was paying for most of my expenses.
Is that they could subsidize the dorm, and then you don't even have to leave campus. So, like I said, if you can take a loan, fine. You really can't do it, then take a loan for $3,000 a year for 4 years, and then at the end you owe what, $12,000 for living in the dorm for 4 years.
Yeah.
Let's say including food.
Yeah.
Like, that's if you don't work at all, which you could easily get a part-time job on campus if they increase the opportunities.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that even I get upset because a lot of these people who are legacied on to these places like Congress, they're out there arguing that, like, the current system is acceptable, and it's absolutely not. The current system that we have is untenable, and anyone that says it is a fucking idiot or a rich person that's entitled. Like, I don't know. It really gets me super upset. So, but I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that we should subsidize education to the point that you don't need to pay anything, first of all, because it's super helpful to our society.
Again, this is state issue though, so you need to push state representatives.
It's true, and that's why everyone should be calling their state representatives. They should be calling their local representatives. Everything. You should be getting on this, and you should be involved in the political process. But at the same time, it has to. I don't know. The federal government can push those things to some degree, but I agree with you. I don't know. But what I get upset about is when these people act like it's just like an act of laziness or something like that, and that's the vibe I got from the most recent congressional hearing that I saw. It's just they just pretend like it's because you're lazy that you're not getting these things, and it's just like, like, people are working some people are working two jobs. And it's like, how do you work 60, 80 hours a week and go to class and do all the homework? Like, it's a joke.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, let me take a look. I'm going to see what the tuition is at my old university, because I only graduated a few years ago. Wow. It hasn't really changed, actually. No, that's not true. It hasn't changed that much. Yeah, it's just about doubled in about 10 years, but it's still not...
That's still pretty ridiculous, though.
Most of the doubling occurred, I think, right after I graduated. It went up like 30% while I was there, even. Because when I started, I think it was something like $2,000, $2,500 a semester, and then by the time I finished, it was like closer to $5,000. So I think it doubled then, and they haven't raised it since.
It's too damn high.
$5,000 a year is not terrible.
It's that, like, I feel like $5,000 a year should be like the cost of, like, going to like a high class university, but that's just me.
I mean,
Can you hear the fireworks going on?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's $11,000 a year, so it's not surprising, man. Are you there?
It's too damn high.
Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, you went mute for a few seconds, man.
It happens. It's what I do, dog.
Go mute.
Yeah, sometimes. So what other issues are you itching to talk about, Ari?
The Boeing.
The plane that they've grounded now?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
What I think is appalling is the things that I've heard in the last few days, basically, that the extent of the deregulation that's taken place, where the FAA and its certification of the planes has basically outsourced the inspection to employees of the airplane manufacturers. So what I heard basically is that the people who certified the plane on behalf of the FAA worked for fucking Boeing. So they're on the payroll of the company that they're supposed to be regulating. To the extent that there are 2,000 employees of the FAA that are on Boeing's payroll. And how that's not a clear conflict of interest, I don't know. So whether or not there's a problem with the plane, there's clearly a serious regulatory issue that everyone is ignoring.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty clear problem. And I mean, I've read stories saying that like basically the shutdown recently in the U.S. like also affected the basically testing and quality control of the Boeing. What is it? something's eight
Super 6
Super
7
that like basically got pushed out, like basically because of the shutdown there was like less ability for the company to do quality control on the plane. So but anyway, that's I guess that's beside the point. But yeah, that just speaks to the rank corruption within the US.
And then Trump has the gall to say, oh, this is first of all, he was off the record complaining about Boeing, and he's complaining about the pilots, but really the issue comes down to him and his shitty fucking idea of governance, where like basically you don't need to regulate any of these companies, that they can regulate themselves. No, because you fucking are derelict in your duty of regulating these industries. You're actually hurting the fucking companies you're supposed to protect. By how much do you think they're gonna get sued by like the fucking dozens of airlines around the world that have hundreds of grounded planes making zero fucking money for them? So if they had just taken the time, tested the planes properly in the first place, and discovered this error, this wouldn't have fucking happened. People wouldn't have fucking died, and there wouldn't be losing all this money and lives and time.
Yeah.
It's a backwards way of thinking about it, and he's blaming everyone else except himself.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I have no point of disagreement on you with that. It's absurd. Why? But that's the way that a lot of American corporations work, and that's the way that like
it's disgusting. There should be not only should they not allow a conflict of interest, but the fact that there's even the possibility that there could be a conflict of interest, that should be reason enough for them to suspend this idiotic program. Like, I'm not saying that Boeing cheated, but I'm saying the possibility that they could have cheated itself is disturbing enough that this program should have never been started in the first place.
Yeah, why should that possibility exist at all? I completely agree. Just you can't be letting people that have any sort of pull within the administration be allowed to be on these.
Absolutely, but Trump in particular doesn't seem to understand the concept of conflict of interest. So
he also doesn't seem to actually understand. Well, he doesn't seem to actually understand anything. He's a fucking absolute moron. Like he's one of the dumbest people on the planet, and the fact that he's our president is like makes me literally want to jump out of my 9th floor apartment right now.
#sad.
But yeah, #baby. But beside that fact, like this has been the this has been the fucking status quo for a long time. It's the revolving door of like, well, you're in government / you're in the pocket of big corporations. And
it's not even a revolving door. These people were working for both at the same time.
Well, that's the thing is like it often happens where it's like the people regulating these businesses are also the people that have a stake in these corporations, and it didn't start with the Trump the Trump presidency, but I think that it of course has been proliferated by it. So yeah, but it's absurd, and it shouldn't be allowed to exist at all. So yeah, I think anyone making a profit off of the fact that they're in governance should be, I would say, thrown in jail. But
that's not what's happening here. It's more like the government is outsourcing it's constantly trying to privatize its operations, and in this case, it outsourced its regulation to the people, to the organizations that were supposed to be the subjects of the regulation.
Yeah. It's a lot of it is deregulation too. It's just we have to cut regulation.
Yeah.
But this is a clear-cut case of why cutting regulation is bad. Like, yeah, we can talk about there's like, yeah, maybe in the scheme of things, say there's a million regulations. Yeah, maybe 16 of those should be cut. They're over regulations. But the vast majority of regulations are put in place so that in the sense of America, that the American people are safe.
That's the idea.
Yeah, regulation is good, like in the general sense.
Corporations are people, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Corporations are people, so we should let people wantonly murder people and commit homicide and not hold them accountable. That's basically what I've understood from the past 20, 30 years of Republican rhetoric, is that corporations are people and they should be allowed to manslaughter whenever they feel like it.
Oh man. All right, let's talk about something less grim.
All right, what do you got?
Nothing.
You want me to look at my notes? I wrote down a few things.
Yeah, if you have anything good.
I don't know that I have anything good, but I have some notes.
Did you know that I had an article post?
Which article? Because I posted one of your articles recently.
It just auto posted today. I wrote it a week ago, and I have like 3 articles that are supposed to post this week actually. But I figured that I'll never, if I don't set a timer and I don't just auto post them, then I'll never actually feel finished with them. So
everyone should go read Ari's posts.
Who the hell is Artie?
Artie. Morty Ari. Your name is Morty Ari, right?
There's no Artie.
Everyone go read Ari's posts. I'm currently in the, not the middle. I'm in the beginning stages of writing a post about the teacher strike in America. Teacher strikes. It's not one. It's like the whole movement of teacher strikes in America and why it's going to be a long piece, because that's basically what I do is like once a month I just like get some like stick up my ass and go, well, like this needs like a complete breaking down, and I write like a 3,000 word piece about something. But I'm writing about the teacher strikes and why they're coming up right now. But Ari's articles are more concise and I think perhaps more poignant than mine, and they definitely deserve reading. And I try to post all of them. I posted one of your articles yesterday, maybe, or
really?
Recently, very recently.
Oh, where?
What was on Twitter and Facebook? What was the recent
fraud of
topic?
China or something like that?
I don't know if that's the one I posted.
It's pretty new. It's hot off the presses.
I don't think that's the one I posted, but I posted the one before that because, like, I don't know. I like went on the website and I saw that there was a new article and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna post this. So, but everyone should go to like just make our website your homepage. You know?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, just homepage that stuff. It's good. You'll see some interesting articles. Most of them will be Ari's, and they're definitely worth reading. And yeah, so.
At least the recent ones are mostly you've got one on there, the recent one.
I would say the most recent articles, probably the most 4 recent are yours, and maybe the 5th is mine.
Yeah, just about. But you post all the podcasts.
I spent a lot of time editing the podcast, but I need to post more articles. I need to get on writing more, but I do so. I'm just stretching myself so thin. I mean, recently I bought a guitar. Trying to learn how to play guitar. So
oh my gosh.
It's just like I have so many hobbies that it's just like, you know, maybe at some point I'm going to start like doing like writing my own music for the pod, because like people who listen to the pod have noticed like the last 2 or 3 episodes I've like been putting like rights free music on the pod.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So yeah, so I don't know.
I don't
maybe
know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's the best, you know? So, like, I try to put, like, an intro, but it's like, if I just put an intro by myself, like, it's just me talking, you know? I don't know. I'm trying to get a feel for it. So, people have to give, you know, feedback.
The uke. Go back to the uke, man.
I don't know. The guitar has so much more.
Oh, it sounds so hippie though.
Yeah, but it has a larger range of feeling.
Was it or was it not a secondhand guitar?
It was a secondhand guitar, so it has more feeling. It has both my soul and the soul before it. You know.
I knew it.
Of course it was. I went to.
I know
what is that?
Naley.
Yeah. Of course I went there because it's cheaper, man.
I know you. We didn't talk about this at all, but I just had a feeling.
Yeah, as you should have. That's how I know that we're brothers. I know that we're Shongdi because you knew that where I went to get the guitar before we even talked about it. Yeah, it's good. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out.
Maybe Abby can teach you.
Hey, yo, the other night she said that, and I was like, I play the guitar. I was like, yeah, actually, maybe I can teach you. And I was like, I asked her like how many chords she knew, and she's like, I don't know. And then I played a song, and she's like, I don't know any of that. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Does she know
I've literally been playing the guitar for less than a week.
Yeah, but you could play ukulele before, so
it's true. Like it's a little bit of a difference. But she played guitar for like a year or two.
Really?
Yeah, she said she played for the guitar at least a year.
What could she
and she's
do?
played piano too. But she said she used to like her mom would make her play the piano and she would just like cry and play the piano. So fucking
like
sad.
Weeping into the cracks in the keys.
That's how you become an artist though. It's like you just cry into the keys, right?
I feel like you have to have your own passion for it to become like really great.
That's absolutely right. But man, I love it. I love playing guitar. If you guys want me to play any songs for the intro, outro, let me know. But you got to send me the chords because like I'm pretty shitty at playing guitar. So, man, I got a lot of notes, bud. I got
Hey, what else?
What I got? I got Hillary says that she's not announcing. Thank Jesus, our Lord and Savior, and
Your Lord.
But she says that she doesn't think Bernie can beat Trump in 2020. So, fuck Hillary. Hope
Yeah,
she...
what a fucking man.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you want to say. Yeah, fuck her. Yeah, she's a bad person. She's literally a bad Democrat, and she's a bad person for saying that. I don't think Bernie can beat... He's literally the most popular candidate in the U.S. He's second behind Biden, which is a fucking farce, because Biden has, like, one, a bunch of name recognition, is two, he hasn't even announced yet, so he shouldn't be in any of these polls. And third, he's gonna get Me Too'd right out of the gate. That dude is done. He's done. It's gonna be Bernie, Harris, and then fucking fuck all from Texas.
What about Warren?
Beto O'Rourke from fucking Texas.
You don't think Warren's gonna go anywhere?
Warren will be fine. She'll be okay, but she's just not popular, man. She's got so much baggage. Like, I like Warren. Warren, okay. If you said who are your favorite candidates, it would be Bernie, and then
Biden.
A medium second for me would be Warren. Warren is my second pick.
Oh,
if I can pick,
I thought you would have said
Warren's
Mike
my second. Pence maybe like a 2.5.
Okay.
But yeah, Warren is my second pick for sure, and then Pence, and then maybe like Kirsten Gillibrand, and then
Really?
And then Sonic the Hedgehog and SpongeBob SquarePants, and then probably like Beto O'Rourke. You know. And along with that, I wrote another thing, which is the hashtag on Twitter, which is Bernie so black.
What does that mean?
No, so this is the thing that's been pissing me off, because some people have been posting this thing positively. They've been saying Bernie so black, like because he was smeared as like not having like black support in the last election, which is somewhat true because of his name recognition. It's all because of his name recognition. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton allowed a sexual predator to exist in her campaign.
You mean
and
Bill?
She yeah, well, two of them, Bill
And Chelsea.
her quote unquote religious advisor
Chelsea
that she
Clinton.
allowed to continue on, and in addition to that, she did stupid fucking like I would call it racist shit, like saying like I keep hot sauce in my purse, and it's like no, fuck you, bitch, you don't do that. You don't do that shit. You keep a fucking bottle of hot sauce in your purse so you can go to black voters and say I keep hot sauce in my purse because you think fucking black voters.
That's supposed to be like a southern thing because she's from
Nah.
Arkansas.
It's a fucking black. She wants to appeal to black voters.
I know what you're saying, but I don't see the link. I have hot sauce all the
I
time.
like hot sauce too. That's the thing, that normal people like hot sauce. Hillary Clinton is not a normal person. She's a fucking bougie bitch that fucking doesn't know about any sort of culture except for rich ass people culture. She's a fucking
I don't know
bourgeois
about that,
piece
man.
of shit.
She's not like she wasn't like her background is.
Please
like
stop
that.
defending rich people, Ari. But go ahead.
She's not like a Trump or like I don't know.
She's not on the level of Trump. I'll give you that. She's not on the level of Trump.
She was
but
just like a poor, not poor,
Poor.
like white, probably middle class. Bill is white, lower class. They married and had probably like a lower middle class like marriage for a while. That and now they're rich. But I feel like
they've been rich for a minute, bruh. They've been rich for a long time.
yeah, because they lived in the White House for 8 fucking years.
That's exactly right. And so when did she start carrying hot sauce? In the last election.
How do you know?
Because that's the only time I've ever seen it.
What
That's
kind
when
of
she
hot
started
sauce
coming
is
out
it?
about it. And she
That's
called
the most
she
important
fucking
thing.
her
What kind of hot
fucking
sauce, Jordan?
husband voted to like basically
Ban hot sauce.
No, if he voted to ban hot sauce, she would have been up in arms because she loves hot sauce, right? No, she's called people fucking super predators. She's called them people super predators in the 2016 elections. They voted for the fucking crime bills. They voted for all these things. Like they are not in favor of they. If you don't want to call them racist, I can see your argument, but they're definitely not in favor of poor
sauce.
people. Hot sauce. # hot sauce. Anyway, so fuck Hillary. Anyone that's saying like that's using the Bernie so black hashtag. Number one, it's mostly white people saying, "Oh, Bernie so black," blah, 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 like trying to smear him. Second of all, the person with the most black support in of the primary candidates, can you guess?
You know what, Jordan? I don't give a fucking shit because
That's right. It's fucking Mike Pence.
I know it's Bernie, obviously.
Yeah, of course
But
it's Bernie.
The fact that this conversation is even taking place, that we're like, because one group doesn't like him, then nobody should like him. Who the fuck cares? Like,
But that's the thing. That's the thing is people need to understand this information, because I think that it's important, because people think, like people are fooled by these fucking mainstream media and shit like that, and they're just thinking, like black people don't like Bernie, so I shouldn't care. And that your point is exactly
I feel
right.
Like this, like a Twitter thing.
Your
It's
point
not
is
even
right.
Like, it's I don't know who the fuck this is. This is like these identity politics nonsense gamers who just like try and find like dumb straw man arguments to like just to fuck shit up.
Like people who carry fucking hot sauce in their purse to fucking cater to black people, like fucking Hillary Clinton. Fuck that fucking fucker.
I mean,
Anyway.
it's obviously bad, but like this is fairly similar. Like, stop trying to racialize fucking politics. Stop trying to genderize politics. Like,
Fuck identity politics. I think that's all you need to say. Fuck identity politics, man.
I've been saying that for a long time.
Amen. I mean, I think that identity does play a role, and I think that people need to be aware of identity to a degree, because there are people like people of color definitely have worse outcomes than white people. Even if you talk about lower class people, you talk about poor people that are white and people that are black or of Hispanic descent.
I don't know if the point of government is to try and equalize outcome as much as it is to equalize.
It's to equalize opportunity, but that's the thing is
So I
The
agree with
opportunity
you.
the
I think
opportunity
that-
is not equal. The opportunity is also not equal.
I think that every policy should be colorblind, and that we should. Yeah, you can talk about like your own identity, and that can inform your politics. But to vote for people because of your identity, because of their identity, is wrong.
The argument. Go ahead. Sorry. The argument of colorblindness, I think, is dangerous.
Why?
Because, again, the equality of opportunity is different, even between, if you talk about within the same class, the equality is different based on race or based on skin color, or based on whatever you want to say it is. But it's not just about economic opportunity. Like black people have less opportunity.
Yes,
they're more likely to
Asians
go.
have
They're
less
more likely to go
opportunity
to
than black
jail
people.
based on nonviolent crimes. They're more likely to go to jail
Yeah.
based on drug offenses. So the opportunity is different.
Okay, on the same token, you take two college applicants following the same thing from before, who have the same fucking scores, the same background. One of them is Asian, and one of them is African American. Who do you think is going to get the spot at Harvard?
The Asian.
No.
Yeah, the Asian.
No, man.
Yeah, definitely.
There's, you know how many fucking lawsuits there are against the universities right now? It's the black kid, man. Because they give priority because of affirmative action.
Nah, man, the affirmative action thing is so minute. It's such a like, yeah, maybe there are like there's like legal action against it, but it's so minute that's like almost not a thing.
Is that a joke, man? Like,
I would like to see the numbers on that.
I can show you because I applied to medical school back in the day, man. The average MCAT score, you can see the average MCAT score by race for each racial group. There is a difference of something like 20 percentile between the races, man. It's like literally like 3 fucking standard deviations easier to get in if you're a minority than it is if
What
you're
does minority constitute though?
anything that's not white or Asian, because yeah, exactly. Asian, it's harder to get in. It's hard if you're Asian, it's harder to get into anything. Asians are the most
again, that should all be gotten rid of.
You just argued against colorblindness. Like, I don't know how you can. I agree with you. It should all be getting rid of, but you just made the opposite argument.
What I'm saying is that you can't be colorblind when we have a racist system, because we have a racist system right now, and
I don't
like, okay,
agree with you.
No. For instance, look at job acceptances and college acceptances with people who have quote unquote stereotypically black names.
I agree with you. So what?
Yeah.
So you know what they're doing in some universities now, where they're trying to get past this? When they do the reviews, they do it name blind. They do it city blind, and they don't have any pictures involved. So you don't know what the kid's name is. You don't know what city they came from. Sometimes they don't even know what high school they went to, because sometimes it's obvious if you went to like Martin Luther King High School or something. Sometimes they know like what neighborhood. They don't have any pictures, and they find that like basically it's a lot more equal.
Yeah, that is more acceptable to me. I
know what you're saying.
The thing is, I have a general aversion to like colorblindness, because you have people like fucking Howard Schultz saying like I'm colorblind, and he's like, that's not good. That's not a good thing in U.S. society. Just to say I'm colorblind, like it ends up being like a bigoted position a lot of the times. So if you could prove to me that it's legitimately colorblind, but that's the thing is, when it comes down to it, these people of color are, yeah, of course, like you have like Asians that are like a little bit different. A lot of them are like more privileged to some degree or another. And again, you have like that's complicated too, because if you talk about South Asians versus Eastern Asians, like Chinese people, Taiwanese people,
but they check Asian on the box and they're fucked basically, because they have to keep to these affirmative action.
That's
rules.
right. So that's the thing. When you go to color blindness, then it can also be a little bit fucked. So yeah, you need to weigh these things, or you need to make things totally equal. And so until those things are totally equal, I think the colorblindness argument is a little bit it's a little bit wrong-headed. I get the idea, and I wish that it was like that, but that's the idea of like a perfect society. Because when you're talking about, okay, yeah, someone from Martin Luther King High School, you think their teachers are as good? Maybe they are, but like the school system, maybe they have fucking black mold growing in the school. I'm writing a fucking article about this right now. Like, these schools are chronically underfunded. Like, that's the reason why there's so many teacher strikes in America right now, is because they're going to bat for these students. And these people on fucking Fox News who are fucking white supremacists like Tucker Carlson. And if you want to see about Tucker Carlson, you can look at his fucking record and all the fucking Media Matters videos that have come out against him. That guy's a fucking piece of shit.
About the opportunity with these differences in schools, in home background, all that kind of shit. But you can't on one hand say that it's a meritocracy, and then on the other hand say that because somebody potentially had to work harder because their school was lower quality to get the same grades, to get the same whatever MCAT score, that they should get the C. Is it? I mean,
that's what I would argue, though. Is I don't think it's a meritocracy.
Okay, well, the idea is that it should be, and yeah, you need to address all these issues. There's no question about that.
Yeah, agreed.
But I mean, you're not dealing with the problem at all. You're just dealing with the symptom of it when you start talking about affirmative action, like at the end for medical school admission, for university admission. Man, these kids are already behind. They've been behind because their fucking high schools are fucked up, their middle schools are fucked up, their neighborhoods are fucked up. So what
do you do with that? Do you say, well, your neighborhood's fucked up, so fuck you?
No, of course not. You need to try and fucking treat those issues before you start throwing band-aids on this symptom. That's like trying to treat cancer you have skin cancer and you start putting sunscreen on after the fact. Like, no.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that what we get into is the same idea that you have within like the post-Civil War South. Is you say these people are so they would argue, well, these people have been in slavery so long that they're so backwards that like there's no way we can just throw them into the system. Like, we should continue the system that we have and slowly improve it. And it's incrementalism, man. We should slowly improve this until that we have them until it takes 200 years.
That's not at all what I'm saying. I think that
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's the argument that a lot of people from that position will make. So what is your argument for that? Should we just ban them from coming into medical school because
of course, what are you talking
99% of them maybe are
I think that affirmative action is dead. Like, maybe it made sense in the 1970s. Now they should ban affirmative action and they should mandate name-blind, race-blind admissions where they don't know the name, they don't know the city, they don't even know the fucking high school. And that's why we have equalizers, like things like the MCAT and shit like that.
But that's the thing, is there's clearly still cheating that goes on, and you can, again, what we were talking about earlier is you can buy a fucking building and then you get into it. Or like Kushner's father paid a bunch of money and basically got into Harvard and like all these things.
That's fair enough, but it's one thing to go to Harvard and get like a finance degree. It's another thing to illegitimately get into a medical school and then, as an incompetent student, end up killing somebody because you admitted inept students into your fucking medical school who are not capable of doing the work.
I don't think that's like a chronic problem, though, and so
I'm not saying it's a chronic problem.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Scale here.
So, but again, if the scores from quote unquote like private white high schools are going to be higher because they teach them how to take the test, even if they're fucking dumb, drunk fucking high school students and that like have no idea what's going on, should they still get preferential treatment just because they're rich?
No, they should reform the fucking test so that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. None of that has been reformed. So should we just say?
Yeah. Well, I have a shitload of problems with the medical industry, the Association of Medical Colleges, which I think is a giant illegal fucking cartel. Okay, and maybe I shouldn't even get started on this shit. And then I don't think that the medical industry should be able to regulate its own numbers.
Absolutely.
That's, again, this is illegal. This is racketeering at its very basis.
Absolutely.
But I think I don't want to get into that. I think that I agree with you. There are definitely problems with all this shit. Number one, you should focus on spending state money to improve local schools, because a lot of that is caused by like local funding issues, in order to equilibrate these schools. Okay. And second of all, I would say that you need to reform the test so that, like, I disagree with these test prep things when they're very base. I think that it's complete nonsense that kids can go spend like $3,000, take a quick dumbass test prep course, and pass the test with a higher score than somebody who actually fucking went to the class and did the work, like a normal student.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you're gonna have those
teaching the test, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, to be honest, I mean, they do have books and stuff. You can go and buy like a set of books for like $50 and teach yourself how to, the tricks for these tests. But
as a fuckload of time, though.
It is. I mean, yeah, it is. I agree with you. I think,
and a lot of these kids, like for me, for instance, I want to give my case just to give this side of the argument. It's like I was like my parents when we were growing up were lower class when I was like in elementary school, probably growing and growing and growing. Like got to like middle class. I would say we're maybe lower middle class when I was in high school. I worked from when I was like the age of whatever the legal age was. I don't want to. Anyway, I was whatever the legal age was in Missouri. I worked from then until I graduated, very, very close to full time, while I was going to school. And I knew the things I was interested in were like basically history and like some science. And so when I took the test, like I got good scores in history, I had decent scores in science, but my fucking math teacher was like a joke. And so like I didn't do well in a lot of those subjects. And my school was like drastically underfunded, and I also did extracurriculars. Like I was on the football team, I was on the basketball team, and I was on the golf team. So it's just like, even for me, who went to like a decent school, who was probably more focused on things like extracurricular activities like sports, but still moderately focused on things like academics, I still like, if I would have been like, if I wouldn't have like basically gotten pushed through on a couple of my classes, especially math classes, like I took a trigonometry, pre-calc trig class. I probably should not have passed that class, but I got pushed through. And so I got accepted into the university that I went to. And like I barely passed fucking algebra, like pre-algebra in my university. I did very well in like my history classes and a lot of things that like I had interest in, but like my algebra classes and my math class I did not do well. So, and that's like for a semi well-funded school. If you go to these schools and like the projects, or like an inner city school that has like basically no funding, has fucking mold growing on the walls and mushrooms growing on the walls, like to expect those people to like do well in school when maybe they're fucking, one of their parents is like struggling with some sort of addiction or is not present, or there's fucking gang violence in there in where they live. Like I think it's not fair. So like until you equalize those schools, like I think that there's not necessarily a problem, because like if you put someone in a position, and sorry for being very long-winded here, but if you put someone in a position where you say like, yeah, we're gonna give you like some sort of like hand up, and we're gonna put you in the school because of affirmative action. A lot of those people perform. And they do well.
Yeah, but how do you quantify? Like, okay, how do you quantify it, man? What do you say? Like, oh, if you had a parent who spent a month in jail, that's 1 point. If your high school had black mold, that's 2. How the fuck do you quantify poverty?
Agreed.
How do you quantify race? Basically, what you're doing is you're lumping an entire racial category, which itself is like not homogenous, and saying everyone who has like an eighth black ancestry, you now get a 30% bump in all your chances to get into Ivy League universities.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you, which is we need to talk about the whole reparations question soon at some point. But yeah, I would mostly agree with you because it's hard to quantify. Like, how do you quantify that?
There's absolutely no
There's
way.
no way.
It's completely arbitrary, and in that case, it makes it completely unfair. Are you the whole entire existence of standardized test scores was to take intelligent, high-performing students with a lot of capability, even if they didn't do that well in their school, even if their school was shit, whether they have the capability to perform very well in university.
But that's the thing, like what you said before, is like is test scores are bullshit.
I mean, that may be the case, but that means that they need to be reformed, and there needs to be less weight placed upon them. But
that's the thing is until we work to equalize schools, which is something that the Republicans don't care to do because a lot of them are racist.
The second part of this matter is we're talking about Ivy League schools, of which only a fraction of kids get into anyways, and economically they don't make that much fucking difference. Having a liberal arts degree from Harvard, if you're not like a rich kid already, and you're not going to make a whole bunch of connections with a whole bunch of other rich kids, what the fuck does that get you really? Because you're not going to go work for the fucking IMF, with your bachelor's degree in art history from Harvard.
Yeah, it's true, but that's what I think.
It's not valuable, and it's not important. It's not a large enough issue. So, if anything, I mean, these issues don't make a huge deal. If you talk about most American kids who go to no-name schools, state schools.
But that's what I think. I think that we need to have a larger conversation about ideas and how basically there is a political. There's basically a political ideology in the U.S. that goes back and you can look at Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton. You can look at all these people that are basically just legacy candidates, which again we talk about legacy, and if you look at what I would encourage people to go look at what Meghan McCain, who is a dumb, stupid person. What she said on The View recently, which is a stupid program that I don't encourage anyone to watch, but you can go look at what she said. Basically, she was she literally didn't understand the difference between legacy as an idea within education and legacy within just the idea of legacy. You have a legacy, and it's absolutely baffling what she was saying, but that is the idea that I think people need to come to terms with. Is just we need to stop promoting these people that are quote unquote just have legacies within the political iconography of the U.S.
But that's not even American. That's everywhere.
But it needs to be abolished, and until it is, then none of this matters, man. It doesn't matter, and I think it's a benefit to have these people. If you're promoting these people, if you give, I think honestly, here's the thing: if it doesn't matter, then I think it's of benefit to give these people of color a heads up above white rich people that have these ideas that they can take these classes that let them test better, and you give a black person heads up over those people. I think that's going to be good because it's going to switch up the system.
That's not what's happening. They're both getting in, and everybody who is not in one of those two categories gets fucked over. It's not like you have to pick. They're both getting an advantage. It's people us
But what would be the difference? What would be the difference if those two people...
We lose.
We. Who's we?
Everyone who's not in the protected minority class. Everyone who's not A, rich, B, have wealthy parents, C, impoverished. Impoverished to the point where, you get, these Pell Grants where you get, $10,000 a year to go to college for free. D, from a fucking high school with black mold in it. Those kinds of things. Everyone who's not, in a protected cat... You know how much money I got, to go to fucking state college? I got jack shit.
Yeah.
And, what? So what? My fucking father got American citizenship like 3 years ago. Like I'm a fucking first generation immigrant. So what? Like I'm fucking shit meat. Like why don't I get anything? You know. My father was a fucking war veteran. Do I get anything for that? Like, who decides who's the fucking protected minorities? Who decides who's a better class? I think everything should be fucking equal.
Absolutely, it should. But that's the thing is, it is not. None of this shit has been equal, and
So
it never has.
fuck them both. Fuck both sides. Fuck the rich people and fuck people who have minority claims and fuck everybody.
That's the thing is, don't fuck the poor people, man. Those people are on your side. That's the thing is, like,
nobody's on my side. Are you joking? How is that on my side? I'm not poor enough, so they get a better chance than me. How is that on my side?
That's the thing is, they should.
I'm not
everyone
saying fuck
should,
the poor.
especially.
Hey, I'm not.
That,
I'm not
I
saying
know,
fuck
I know,
the
I know.
poor. I'm not saying fuck the rich. I'm not saying fuck minorities. I'm not saying fuck the legacy people. I'm saying fuck their extra opportunity.
No, fuck the rich. Yeah, fuck the rich. Because they buy their way into it, and
some of them do, but some of them don't.
Most of them do, and most of them demonize the lower classes that do eventually get into these institutions. So fuck them. I don't care about the rich. They're fucking pieces of shit. Almost all of them. Almost all of these people that are fucking rich are fucking garbage.
I don't know why you have such an insidious hatred of the
rich.
Because
they are the ones that control everything. They literally control all of this shit that happens, and they slightly let these people get in so they can demonize them, and it's fucking bullshit. And fuck them. I don't care about them. I don't want to defend them. I will never defend these fucking rich people.
What do you mean by rich? I mean, how do you even define rich?
Yeah, of course. What do you mean? How do you define rich? If you can
buy
buy influence,
group of people who controls the world, who is that group? If you're gonna say that they're controlling the world, if you're gonna demonize them, you have to label them. What is rich to you? Is $150,000 a year salary?
The people that can buy influence. If you have enough money to buy influence and get yourself into like some position of power, then I think that I mean. It depends, of course. Like of course, I'm painting with a broad brush, but generally, fuck you, man. Like unless you're fighting for all people, then I don't care about you.
There are nearly 14 million Americans who are considered millionaires right now. So this is not like a small minority. This is like
14 million is a pretty small amount when you consider that like the U.S. has a population. It's 5%. That's small. That's a small minority.
5% of the U.S. population is in like the upper echelons of the world. So I'm saying, listen, I agree with you that wealth is like hereditary, but America has spread the upper echelon of wealth pretty far and wide. When you have a full 5% of the entire population, there are more millionaires than there are illegals in America.
So. I don't know how
that's a huge fucking population.
Yeah, and most of them use their wealth to like basically fuck over the lower echelons of society.
I think that some of them do, but most of them are just living their own vapid fucking dumb rich lives. Like
and so it's vapid. So like that's less egregious to me. But at the same time, I would still call them out. I think they should be called out. But what I would say is more egregious is like the people that are like billionaires, and I think those people are immoral. I think those people
don't even have kids for the most part. So
yeah, but some of them do, and a lot of them I think they're bad.
Those are the kind of people who are buying their own fucking universities to send their kids to.
It's not totally incorrect, but I think if you're using your wealth to buy your kids into these universities, I think you're bad. I think it's also I think it goes beyond being bad. I think it goes into the idea of being evil. I think you're doing something that is literally hurting many other people.
I think it's stupid to begin with, and I think the idea that you need to idolize these. First of all, I stand by what I've said. I think that all added fucking opportunities should be taken away. It should be completely fucking blind. If universities are supposed to be a place of learning, then it should be merit-based. But I also think that there's nothing... We need to stop idolizing these Ivy League schools, and we need to start idolizing fucking egalitarian-style education, like state schools.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that should be like a much more. I think education in general is like, yeah, it's just like, well, you go to this like Ivy League school, but it's just like, okay, yeah, Donald Trump Jr. also graduated from those fucking stupid schools.
So who the fuck cares in the end of the day? Fuck Harvard, anyways.
I agree, but that's the thing is, the problem still exists that there's an inequality, and I think as long as the inequality exists,
it's up to us to start shitting on these schools and basically saying, you know, like this idiot fucking kid who was like, who was in that school shooting. Do you remember? And everyone's like, gave him a whole bunch of attention because he got into an Ivy League school. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. We accept that these schools have so much value, like it shows a level of achievement, it shows a level of intelligence, but no, it doesn't show anything. It shows that you got a fucking piece of paper that lets you go to a fucking school that's basically for the rich by the rich.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So fuck the Ivy League.
Fuck Harvard.
Yeah, fuck the Ivy Leagues. They're gross, just disgusting parade of how wealth masquerades as intelligence.
Okay, we're going on a very long rant about this, both of us.
Yeah, agreed. Fuck education. Everyone drop out as fucking junior high school students.
Kill people, fuck school.
What?
All right. Anyway, so yeah, we have a long way to go with all that stuff. But is there any other topics that you want to talk about? I have so many that I could talk about here.
Fine, maybe just one more. Go ahead.
Do you want me to read all these off? I have so many. Okay, so I have. I'll just read off a bunch, and if you feel like one is speaking to you, then let me know. So I have the one that we talked about, hashtag Bernie so black. I have 5G in China. I have Ilhan Omar. I have lowering the voting age to 16.
That sounds so dumb.
Why?
Are you joking? I think they should raise the voting age.
Oh, fuck you.
They should. The voting age used to be 21, and the only reason they lowered it is because they were letting kids go into the military at 18. They should raise the military age and raise the voting age with it back to 21. People should not. I remember when I was 18. I probably shouldn't have been allowed to vote.
I don't know. I think they should just increase the information. I think information circulation should be better.
Okay, why do you think 16-year-olds are qualified to vote?
Why do you think 21-year-olds are able to vote? Should be able to
I
vote?
don't think there's any hard set rule, but I think the longer you're on the earth,
exactly.
I think that people shouldn't be able to make serious decisions at least until they're done with puberty.
Donald Trump.
Huh?
Donald Trump. Why do you think that age adds anything to the ideas that you
what
have?
I just said, puberty.
I've seen people. Yeah,
I don't think
but
pubescent children.
By 16 to 18.
Yeah, I think that kids who haven't finished growing
and
their fucking pubes shouldn't be allowed to select senators.
You're just arguing you're just saying
no.
Talking
this is
points,
the biological definition of adulthood. Like, this isn't made up.
Yeah, but for every person, it's different.
That is a fact. But
every person is different, and
nobody is not fully developed.
Again, look at Donald Trump. Look at fucking Cuck Schumer.
Yeah.
Look at all these fucking people that don't have
that's
Chuck Schumer is slightly better, but
are you saying that 70-year-olds should be that a 70-year-old's maturity level should be compared with a prepubescent teen's intelligence level? It's not the same argument.
17-year-olds not necessarily prepubescent.
The fact that you say not necessarily means that it's not necessarily exactly. The fact
it's not necessarily exactly. So
what,
but
we're just
it also doesn't mean that they're senile.
Yeah, so maybe this.
So should we put a cutoff date on it?
Yeah, maybe.
At what age?
Maybe if you lose your driver's license, you should lose the right to vote.
So if you can get should we just get rid of a level of getting your driver's license and say if you can pass the test, then you can vote?
I honestly think if you're going to take voting rights away from prisoners, then they should probably have a citizenship test as a precursor to voting.
I think that gets a little dangerous.
It does. It's extremely dangerous. But if we're talking, if you're letting 16-year-olds vote is also extremely dangerous. Why 16? I mean, the legal definition for being an adult is 18. So this is so arbitrary. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's all exactly. It's all arbitrary.
Yeah,
so why do we say it's 18 and not 16? Why do we say it's 18 and not 17? Why do we say it's not 17 and a half?
Again, because of biological reasons.
There's no biological reason that says when I was there's very little difference between when I was 17 and 18. There's a lot of difference between when I was 17 and probably 20, 21.
If you look at the physiological bell curve, okay? Basically, by the time, like 99% of adults are basically their brain is fully developed by the time they're 21. I agree with you. We should move it to 21. I see no reason why it should be at 18.
I don't know that I would move it to 21, but if we want to say it's 21, maybe.
Taiwan is 20, man. Like,
yeah, and I don't know if I agree with that. I would say almost move everything to 16, but I'm not for sure.
I don't see why. Our educational system is set to finish when you're 18, assuming that you're not a fully educated person until you're 18. Why do you think it's okay? You said that the statute of the age of consent should be 18. So why should you be able to vote before you're allowed to give consent for sex?
I think I said the age of consent is 18. I don't know. I would be okay with I actually think that the age of consent should be 16 because you have a lot of problems with the age of consent because a lot of people come to like maybe not maturity but like they start to come into like their sexual prowess at 16 and they want to fornicate, and if you're not allowing those people to do that, and then you have like, okay, for instance in the US, like I was trained as a teacher in the US in college. If I were to see, for instance, if I was a teacher in the U.S. and I saw two 16-year-olds having sex, or one of the 16-year-olds told me that they had sex, I would have to report that to the government as a sex crime. And both of those 16-year-olds could potentially be sent to jail.
Could, but they wouldn't be. They
likely would be in a lot of trouble, especially the male would be in a lot of trouble and could potentially be sent to jail as a sex offender and labeled for the rest of their life as a sex offender.
No,
because
once you're 18, you fucking purge your record.
Potentially.
Anyway, I think that's a divergent point. Anyways, the fact that it's been argued that the age of consent should be kept at 18. Why would okay? I mean, we can get biological evidence for this, but like, I don't even see why this is being brought up. Who suggested this, first of all, and what nefarious kind of shit were they trying to pull?
I feel like there was a lot of people for a lot of different reasons have offered different ages. People have wanted to increase the ages or lower the ages.
Okay, for most of American history, I think it was 21, and then the only reason they lowered it is because they were letting people into the army at 18. They figured that people who could volunteer to risk their lives to join the army should also be allowed to vote. But I think, again, I think that if we're gonna assume that you're not psychologically capable of buying alcohol, you also are not psychologically capable of probably voting, of joining the army. So I think joining the army should also be raised to 21.
If you want to get on that board, I would say okay, but I'd say you got to decriminalize a lot of things because, man, people below, like, not for me. I never drank alcohol until I was like 22, 23, but a majority of people, I would say, from the people I've met, have drank alcohol. I drank alcohol before I was 21, like maybe once, I think. One time when I was actually very young. Maybe I'll tell that story sometime on the podcast, but not at this time. But a lot of people drink but when they're 15, 16, 17, and maybe they shouldn't, but most of them will. So at least that shouldn't be illegal. Do you agree with that? Maybe you don't think that it should be legal for them to buy alcohol, but if a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old gets caught with alcohol, do you think they should be fined a lot of like hundreds of dollars or put in jail and or have like a record for the rest of their life?
No, I think the parents should be fined and put in jail because I think this is the fact that the parents are allowing them to get alcohol.
So the shit that you've done in your past, do you think your dad should be punished for that?
I think if the consequences were heavier, then parents would.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all. There's parents that do everything. You can't beat your child into submission.
No,
man.
but at a certain point, maybe the child just needs to go to jail instead of because, man.
So you think you should have gone to jail for some of the shit that you did?
Maybe.
You think that would have been good for you?
I know for some of my friends, basically growing up, the lack of structure that they had growing up meant that they ended up destroying their entire fucking lives.
How about for you though?
Every person's different.
You've done shit that may or may not have been illegal.
You know that there's judicial discretion. Like basically, I mean, when there's a crime being committed, especially with a child,
it favors white people. So for people of color, should that be different?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about for like a family court, man. When like a parent and a child go before the court, like basically the discretion is that like should this child go to whatever juvenile detention facility? Should this parent lose custody of the child? The whole point of us having this judicial discretion is they can look at each situation. I'm not talking about like racial disparities. I'm talking about the fact that a judge can sit there and like look at a child and see the situation, see how much the parents care, see if the parents even show up for their child's court date, and see maybe like for some of these kids that they probably should have been stuck with an alternative guardian instead of having neglectful fucking parents who let them do whatever they wanted, and they end up turning into heroin addicts and fucking spending the better part of their 20s in prison.
I don't trust you. I mean, to some degree I do, but like I don't always trust the judicial system because like a lot of those people are influenced by the racist system that has come before us, man.
And
These
you don't
people, like,
okay, so you trust them more than the parents who allowed their it's not always the parents' faults, but sometimes
yeah,
it
exactly. So if the parents don't allow that thing to happen, and the judge says, "Well, you're like a bad parent," it's like the parent has literally done everything they can.
There's a huge.
So should the parent be punished?
There's a huge
for the fact
difference
that they
between a parent. Listen, and that's part of the whole fucking court procedure. You've got probably some parents who won't even go to court with their child, and then you've got a fairly good idea of what the situation is. You have. I mean, they also have.
That's not how courts
workers,
work, though.
Family
man.
counselors, like this.
It's not how that shit works, though.
That's
man.
exactly how that shit works, man.
No, that's how it works ideologically. It's how it works ideologically, but it's not always how it works in practice.
I've been through this, man. When my parents got divorced, I had to go through this family court shit, and I had to talk through mediators, and they had to like basically go through a court, and I hated the system then, and I think it was fucking stupid, and it has lots of fucking problems. But it's better than there being.
Yeah, of course there should be courts. Like obviously, that's not an argument though. To say that there shouldn't be court, I'm not arguing that there shouldn't be courts. I'm just saying that like to argue that like argument? people should be because their parent like look at Kamala Harris. Like she was arguing that like because kids don't go to school sometimes that the parents should be locked up. Do you think that, like, because a kid skips school, that a parent should go to jail? The parent the parent who is working like a full-time job, potentially 2 full-time jobs, should be watching their kid 100% of the time.
Jordan, this is
not
like
in America. Not in America, because America doesn't work on a merit-based system.
No.
It's not a straw man argument.
You're doing
a lot
straw
of
man arguments so hard right now,
jobs.
man. Yeah, and that's why you go to fucking court, so that the parent says, you know, I work a full-time job. My kid told me they were going to school. I can't watch them 24/7. And then you have other parents who don't show up, who are just like, you know, I don't care if you go to school or not. Oh, he told me I was going to school. I don't fucking care. I don't pick up the phone when the school calls anyways. Like, there's a huge difference.
It's not how it works, though. That's not how it works.
Explain to me how it works.
Because it's not all judges who are inherently unbiased. Like, a lot of these judges are elected. You think a Trump-elected judge is going to be
Trump does not
like,
elect
forgiving?
family court judges and family court
But a lot of
judges
these fucking
are
Republicans do. Like, look at the fucking watch the fucking not even to speak about like state judges. Look at fucking the judges that are elected on the national level by these fucking
These ones are not elected, man.
ghouls
This
that
is
are
family
fucking
court.
Republicans, man. They literally believe in like Christian Sharia law. And if you're not like a Christian Sharia law and you're a black parent and you don't like you're working a two shifts every day, you're working 12-hour days, they don't give a fuck about that.
Of all the social issues that I hear in the world, I do not hear about hard-working parents who have delinquent children getting sent to prison. Okay, that's not.
It happens, man. It happens because they're
they're
selling drugs and things like that. They're selling there's literally a court case recently about Paul Manafort getting less time than a fucking guy who sold a dime bag of weed. He sold a gram of weed and is getting 20 years in prison. That's fucked up, man.
I don't know the circumstances of that court.
It doesn't matter what the circumstances are.
What do you mean? He could be a triple offender.
It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. If you're selling a dime bag of weed,
God.
you should not see a single fucking day in jail.
Okay, what if he was in possession of a gun? What if he sold it to a 5-year-old child? What if he sold it laced with PCP?
That's a fucking
like,
ridiculous idea, man. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a fucking Republican talking point.
No, I'm saying context matters.
Yeah, of course context matters, but like, it doesn't matter, man. It's ridiculous to say like the fact that like do you think that like a fucking weed dealer sold a fucking like a fucking gram to a fucking 5-year-old? That would be fucking national news. That's not what happened.
I don't know what happened. You're giving me a case completely without context and comparing a federal tax evasion crime with a drug crime in 2 different states, in 2 different courts, with absolutely no background information. I don't know what you're trying to do right now.
Okay. But what I would say is that there are people that go to jail for 3 strikes and literally go to jail for life.
Yeah, that's
There
dumb.
are people
That's
that go to
dumb.
jail for life that
That's
have
dumb.
only so that's stupid.
That's
So our
dumb,
criminal
but
justice system is completely fucked up.
That's not the criminal justice system. That's the laws on the books.
That's the criminal justice system.
Well, what you're talking about is like racial disparity in courts on one hand, but now with a 3 strikes law is not a racist thing.
A 3 strike law is
a
racist thing.
It applies to both
it
white and
affects
black
people of color much more than it affects people like white, quote unquote, white people and people who are more privileged.
Maybe proportionally, but that's just
which would be more racist.
No, that's not racist. That's a function of the fact that black people commit crimes at a higher rate.
No, they don't. They don't.
statistically.
They don't. Look at the statistics. I encourage you to look at the statistics again because African Americans do and sell drugs at statistically consistent rates with white people, and they get charged and convicted far more than white people. Would you argue that like African Americans are more they're more disproportionate, like they would commit crimes at higher rates?
I thought that there was the statistics that they statistically the prison population is overrepresented by...
It's overrepresented by African Americans, but it is not because they committed at higher rates. Do you think that African Americans are disproportionately like apt to commit crimes? Do you think they're more criminal than a white person?
That's a dumb argument.
Yeah, exactly. So no, they don't. And the statistics bear that out. Like
that's 2 different things. Just because somebody is more... Are you talking about like the old racist, like physiologically more likely to commit a crime arguments? Then it's absolute nonsense. Realistically more apt to commit crimes? That's not...
No. So the thing is like...
Those are 2 different things. Those are 2 completely
okay, so
different
for
arguments.
instance, like if you look at drug use in general, African Americans and Caucasian individuals use drugs at the same rate. Statistically speaking, they use drugs at the same rate. But African Americans are far more likely to be locked up for those crimes and also get longer sentences. So we have a racist system. So until you deal with that racist system, I think that it's very difficult to say like, well, we need to reform the system, and we need to take our time with this system. And there's no time. You can't deal with this. You can't take time to deal with the system. You need to, and until it's equal, then you need to figure out something.
Until what's
to do with
equal?
that.
Like, you can't just say, "Oh, let's make it equal." What part of the system? You say it's a racist. What part? The courts, the police,
All of it, man.
The
All of it.
the prosecutorial staff, the public defense system. Which part of this intricate fucking legal system, which is based on like 230 years, needs to be reformed exactly?
All of
Tell
it.
me. That
All
will
of
make
it needs
so
to be
fucking
reformed.
easy.
All of it.
Okay, so
Every
we should just
sing-
start from scratch. I don't understand. Like,
No, you don't have to start from scratch, but you have to reform all of the systems. And until you do that, you can't just say like, well, we have to like ignore this part of the system.
I'm not. When did I say ignore any part of any? system?
You're talking about just saying like, well, yeah, we should just like base it on merit, but there's like no way to base it on merit when it's an inherently racist system.
I'm talking about university admissions. I'm not talking about the legal system.
But that's inherently based in that. Like when you're sending people to jail for like crimes that are like sometimes
We're talking
not
about 17-year-olds applying for Ivy League schools, and now you're talking about criminals, adult criminals facing the adult criminal system.
Well, I don't think that anyone convicted of a drug crime should be considered a criminal, but
I mean, that's a separate. Man, you're mixing so many issues right now. Like,
because it's complicated, man. It's not a
nobody
straightforward
said it's not
issue. I don't think it's
complicated. I
a
agree with
straightforward
you.
issue.
it's definitely complicated. We can agree on that.
Yeah, so that's okay, but that gets down to the point where I don't think you can say that like it's a issue of emissions or like it's an issue of like we should just be colorblind.
Why not? What about all the people in the
Because
middle,
it's
man?
so complicated, man. The whole thing I just went through. But go ahead.
That's the whole. I know what you're saying. That the legal system is complicated. That is a whole completely different fucking planet of arguments. From how do you decide who should get preferential treatment? Why is the middle?
So
like,
that's again, you're saying preferential treatment. How is that? How do you expect the legal system to be any different from the entrance existence?
It's
like
all wrong. It's all fucking wrong. Nobody should get preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Period. I completely agree with you.
yeah.
I completely agree, man. We're in agreement on that. But you think that some people should get preferential treatment to mitigate like
I think we should make it as
old
equitable as
racial
possible.
biases. But I disagree. I think that everyone should get the same fucking chance. And I definitely feel bad. And I think that some people definitely face an uphill battle trying to get into the same universities, trying to go through bad schools. That fucking sucks. But that doesn't like mitigate all of the fucking problems with trying to quantify how fucked up everyone's life is. Like, how do you quantify somebody's struggle? How do you determine who had more struggle than someone else? The whole notion of trying to do that opens up a can of worms that I don't think humans are even capable of. I think the easiest, the simplest, the most fair way to do this is through merit. And yeah, there's like so many problems with the grades. There's so many problems with the testing system. Why fucking add another problem where you're like, this kid went to whatever, like a B+ high school in Atlanta school district, which is 3% more likely to give an A grade than Fulton school district, so we should weight this kid slightly higher. Are you fucking kidding me?
So you should just. But I don't understand what you're saying. You're just saying, well, we should just like take it based on quote unquote merit,
Yeah.
and just ignore everything else that like goes into it. Well, if we want to talk about
ignore what?
if we want to
Ignore
talk
what
about,
exactly?
or
What I'm saying is-
what we talk about jobs. So you can talk about people who can calculate those things and say like, this is what the actual merit base is on, like realistically is.
I think that calculating like a struggle benefit to getting into university is just as bad as giving a rich kid an upper hand. Like, because how do you evaluate your struggle versus my struggle versus his struggle? This is absolute fucking nonsense.
I don't think it's nonsense.
I think they should take SAT score and multiply it by grade, and there's your fucking admission. And like whatever, some high schools are harder to get good grades. Some high schools are in lower condition. Fine, apply a high school multiplier. But that's all you can fucking do. When you start saying, "Oh, this kid was raised in a single parent household. This kid had one parent who made less than $15,000 a year." You make it so complicated and so convoluted. You just fuck over people.
Yeah, to some degree, I agree with you. But that's the thing is, it is so complicated, and that's why until we equalize it, then I think that people are going to be fucked over. And that's the thing is, you until like we recognize that the Republicans are fucking over people, and that's the thing is, I think the shift has to go so far to the left that until we do that, I don't know if I can accept this system.
What you're saying right now basically is that anyone who is not a member of these predetermined, specially classified, underprivileged minority groups is at a complete fucking disadvantage compared to the rest of America.
Not inherently. I think
inherently.
Why?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's look at you. Let's look at you as an example. Let's look at a middle income kid from Missouri. Okay. So let's say you're like a middle income kid. The parents are both whatever, a school teacher and an insurance salesman. Okay. They got pretty average grades, but worked really hard in school. Got really high SAT scores for the fact that he couldn't go. You think he's gonna get into an Ivy League school? Fuck no. So why? Because he didn't grow up in a poor neighborhood, because he didn't fucking come from a rich family. He's fucked.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and Ivy League schools are that's not the argument to have. It's just
this is what we're talking about. The entire argument is over admissions, because the admissions
in general, not admissions to Ivy League schools. Admissions to Ivy League schools is like ridiculous.
If we're talking about admissions in general, man, like okay, my state school, I can say with great pride, the acceptance rate to Arizona State University when I went there was around 92%. Okay, nobody doesn't get into my fucking school, man.
Yeah, exactly. But when we're talking,
so what's the fucking point? Who the fuck is losing out? Kids with 1.5 GPAs. That's who doesn't get in. People who don't fucking need to go to university, who are just gonna drop out after one semester. So I don't understand what the question is. The question was over Ivy League schools, because those are hard to get into. State schools are fucking piece of cake, man.
I mean, I don't know that state schools are a piece of cake, but yeah,
92 fucking percent, man.
Yeah, but it's not every state. Again, going to state.
My state's a fairly average state. At most states have several state universities. For my state, as far as I remember, if you had a 2.0 GPA, you were in.
That's fucking low as shit.
Yeah, that's all you need to go to university. It's not
not all you need to go to. I mean, to go to university, yes, but to get a reasonable university gig it's not that, because my state university was not. It was not that. It was way higher qualifications than that. But again, like that's the thing.
What school did you go to?
University of Missouri.
78%, Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to take a class basically that I was like admitted into. Of course, I literally taught myself the class. So but that's the thing is,
like you're saying, everyone can fucking get in.
No,
man.
That's the thing is, I went to a rural school that was literally 99.5% white.
So what, man? It's because it's Missouri.
Yeah, exactly. So no, but if you go to school in St. Louis, it's almost exactly flipped on its head.
I don't understand. So what are you trying to say?
I'm just saying it's not equal, man. It's not, and it's not.
My school was not 70%. My school in Arizona, okay, Arizona's like 44% Hispanic, and Arizona State's basically the same thing. Like it's not. Most of my classmates, I felt like, in some of the classes were Hispanic. Some of my best friends from university were Hispanic. Like, it's not like they were underrepresented at all. Arizona State was like one of the most diverse schools because they have these ridiculously high acceptance rates.
Yeah, except I mean that's again in Arizona is probably like a little bit different, so each state is different. But yeah,
Here for Arizona State University, more than half of the university is minority.
yeah, okay,
More than half. So the white students are a minority on campus.
again, but like, okay, all right, I give that to you.
It's also one of the largest fucking universities in the entire country.
But yeah, again, I don't know. It depends. Like, so what is that? Like, what again? What does that mean? And each state is different. Like, my school was like heavily white, and
What that means is
there was
anyone
like
who wants to
there
go
was
to
like
college
hate
can get
crimes, constantly on my campus. So
Well, that's a problem.
yeah, exactly.
What I'm saying is everyone who wants to go to university more or less can go to university, a state school.
But at like okay, again, I think we're again, it's true. Yeah, we can all go to university. I think the biggest problem lies is in cost. I mean, we had this conversation earlier, but like
Yeah, but they have student loan. I mean, I completely agree with you. This needs to be reformed, but that doesn't have anything to do about except like tinkering with the merit-based admissions at Ivy League schools, which is what the original argument was.
yeah, I feel like we got off that a little bit. I got sidetracked with that a little bit, so I'll give you that. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, I'm just frustrated. Yeah. So, but you're right.
Jimmy
right.
Kimmel went to ASU.
Huh?
Apparently, Jimmy Kimmel went to ASU.
ASU is a garbage school. Fuck that school.
Well, thanks a lot, Jordan. And so did Barry Bonds.
I'm just kidding. Oh, it's
David
fucking
Spade.
steroid user. No, I mean that's the thing is like I don't know. Yeah, like what we were talking about before is like it's just going to school. It's good, man. In somewhat in general, like I had a lot of good experiences and I like learned a lot of things from going to school, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be as valued as highly as it is in general. And also, I still would say that like a lot of people are barred from higher learning based on like there's clearly biases based on race and things like that. And like you can argue like yeah, like you can still get into like lower class, like low quote unquote lower schools, like state.
Oh
school,
man, this
state
is
schools
I
and things.
disagree with you on this, man. These aren't lower skills. These are the people's schools.
I know, but what I'm saying is like that bars them. Like okay, so say you get into Arizona State, say you get into Missouri University, that is still lower on the terms of like you getting into like a government position than if you get into Columbia, which a lot of these people are buying. Like look at Columbia University, like these quote unquote like there's specific schools that if you get into you can make yourself and you can make these connections. There are connections that you can get.
Yeah, but not if you're a poor kid, anyways, man. Like I've heard
Exactly,
so many
but that's
stories.
fucked up. It's not
No,
it's
what I'm
not
saying
merit
is-
based. It's
we-
not
no,
merit
what-
based.
that's-
So the
that's not what
U.S.
I'm
system
saying.
is not merit based.
I'm
That's
saying
my
there's a lot of
basic
poor
system.
kids who get into these schools and they feel so fucking outside because of like the classism and all this shit that goes on at the school that they fucking hate their education. They make no friends, they make no connections, and they finish. They get their fucking piece of paper and that's all they have. And then they just go back
They can
to being,
still get a better job though than if they didn't have that piece of paper.
maybe. Listen, my fucking master's degree is from like top 20 in the world, man, literally. And I'm doing the same fucking job that you are. What did it buy me? Nothing.
It's true, but you could especially if you go into things like frats and things like that, which like we're not probably like likely to go into because that's just
Fine,
not
then
our
we just
personality.
ban
But like
frats. Fair.
if
Ban all
you were to go
frats.
into those sorts of things, you can make connections that would allow. Like I have a friend who was in a frat. He went to the same university as I went to, and he's probably making like about the same amount of money as I am. But if he would have used his connections to go into the business world and he would have got a degree in business, he probably could have made like a buku bucks. Like he could have made like a lot more money than I did. So that's the thing is what you choose to do with that. But it's inherently a racist system. Like you can, if you're a white person, like I
don't
knew,
see why everything has to connect to race. I don't.
it's
I
not
don't get
always
it.
about race, but what I'm saying is that like it is like to completely say that there's no race connection in it. I think that's just misguided, because there is a race part of that,
Of frats.
of everything, of the education system. It's very deep rooted, and of course it involves itself in frats. It involves itself in what sort of school you go to, like what kind of part of school you go to. So if you go to the business school as opposed to the sociology school, or the history education part of the school, or the education part of the school, of course it's going to make a difference. But that's what I'm saying is
Yeah, but that's not like a race thing. That's just like
it is a race thing.
That's a gender thing. It's
It's a lot of it's gender, it's race, it's a lot of things. But until that sort of thing is completely equal,
It
then I
doesn't
think
need
that we
to
can't.
be equal though. Like that's why. Okay, I went to school in the chemistry department at my school.
Why?
Okay.
Why? Okay.
It was 90% male. It's not because like the females in that program, they weren't discriminated against. Nobody said, "Oh, you shouldn't be studying chemistry." That was a joke. Like they just didn't want to study that. I don't understand. That's a societal, cultural fucking
I think it's
thing.
exactly. It's a societal, cultural thing where we push people away from that.
Nobody is pushing girls away from chemistry.
Yeah.
Girls are pushing themselves
late-
away from chemistry.
Why? How? How are girls pushing themselves away from chemistry?
You tell me, man.
No. You're the one that made that statement. You tell me how
Okay.
girls are pushing themselves away from chemistry.
Do you know how many people? You know how many girls I know here in Taiwan who study the sciences, who study engineering?
That's not a point though. Why? No. Why do girls fundamentally dislike studying
American
science?
culture.
We're in Taiwan. You
fundamentally-
just said Taiwan though.
I'm saying Taiwan is the exact opposite. I'm saying in Taiwan, there are so many girls who study engineering, so many girls who study sciences. It's not even funny. It's probably split evenly, if not more tilted towards females in a lot of the hard sciences. In America, it's the exact opposite.
It's not. Okay. Yeah, I disagree with you. It's not more than 50. It's not like 50%. It's not more females than males.
You should look at the club pictures. I can look this up. This kind of information. In any case, in America, it's not even close to 50%. But not only that, this is not a gender thing. Chemistry is also weird because it's an ambition thing too. Because a lot of people who study chemistry are either trying to go to pre-pharmacy or pre-med. So they have some specific career in mind. And that's a gendered ambition thing, which I think is not good. But on the other hand, America disrespects hard sciences. The same reason, like my sister convinced herself that she didn't want to study math. People, they refuse to work hard at math. They don't try hard enough at math. They think math is unimportant, and that carries on and makes them stay away from chemistry, makes them stay away from engineering, makes them stay away from science culturally as Americans, and that goes double for girls.
I think it's cultural.
I think
it's societal. Yeah, it's
it's
cultural. Yeah, it's societal.
That's not anything. That's not something that you can just create a policy to fix.
Yeah, of course you can't. Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
That's not a
I would agree
policy
with
thing.
you.
That's a cultural warp.
I think you can create policies that will encourage that thing, but I agree with you. It's not just like a simple fix. It's not. We create this policy, and girls are going to study.
There are already all kinds of things that like they try to do to increase representation. They have like female mentoring in universities. They try and get like female scientists to go to schools and try and get more of them to study. For fuck's sake, when I worked as a chemist, my manager was a woman. My coworkers were mostly women. The laboratory, all the people who worked at this chemistry laboratory were, I would say, 80% plus women. But for some reason, I don't know. When you look at the universities, it's not at all the case.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
That was the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I mean it's not clear cut, and what I would say is that it's obviously not like a legislation thing, but I don't think that means that it's not socially deep. It's not deep rooted socially. So I
It
think
is deep rooted socially.
yeah, exactly. So we have to push against those things as much as we can.
When you say we, you mean in politics or socially?
Both.
I
Both.
don't see. I think we should be asking these questions about why this is the case, but I don't think we need to necessarily see inequality in these kinds of things, not equality of opportunity, but inequality of interest as a bad thing. I don't. Sometimes these things just. If there's something that's keeping them away, then absolutely. But if it's some societal thing, I don't know. I mean, you can't. You don't need to change culture if nobody's getting hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the thing is people are getting hurt because of,
Who's getting hurt in
Look
this?
at economic outcomes. People are getting hurt, man. Like
That's why they're studying chemistry is no great way to getting money. I can tell
yeah,
you that.
exactly. But like people
if
are
anything,
getting
they're
hurt
being
by
helped.
what they what they choose to study, and obviously what they choose to study is based on like a lot of economic outcomes or societal ideas. So people need to obviously like care about much more like what they care about, what they study, I guess. And so we in general, it shouldn't matter what people study. People should be given more like people should make a living wage no matter what they study. Is what I think.
Living wage, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it ends up being. People should be paid whether they choose to work at Burger King or they choose to work at like a high level like think tank. Everyone should be able to live based on
Yeah.
their income.
I don't think the majority of people would disagree with that.
I think, yeah, you're right. Maybe the majority of people wouldn't disagree with that, but the majority of politicians, I think they would disagree with that. I think they would
Anyway, I need to
strongly
go to
disagree
sleep, man.
with that.
I have to go look at an apartment tomorrow
All right.
in like 6 hours.
Jeez. All right. We'll end this. We'll talk about more stuff soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, Beatty.
This got really hot.
We talk about that hot shit.
Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys stopping by. Let us know what you guys think down in comment sections on the website, FreeChinaPost.com, or Facebook, or wherever you listen to this. Don't forget to give us ratings. We really appreciate it. I hate to have to do this every week, but it really means a lot if you invite your friends to follow, you give us 5-star reviews, you give us reviews in general also help to stack the algorithm slightly in our favor. This can be on any sort of platform, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, even on Facebook and Twitter. It means a lot, and just make sure you follow those. All those social medias are at FreeChinaPost. And website FreeChinaPost.com. There's a lot of articles up there, especially most of them written recently by Ari, that really should be listened to. Pretty soon after the posting of this, I'll also have one regarding the teacher strikes in America that I think is important for people to read, especially if you're wondering kind of what the teacher strikes are about and how to feel about them. In any case, we appreciate you guys just simply listening. It means a lot to us. And, just stay in contact with us. We appreciate just listening support, but we really do appreciate you guys interacting with us and, growing this community that we're trying to build here. So we appreciate you guys. We love y'all, and we will talk to you soon.